Well folks, welcome to the latest video. Look at this, we've got a paper crash. So this is not the printer that I bought last week, which I did a review on, the setup of. That's actually this one here, which is working just fine. There's nothing wrong with that, it's perfect. So this one here, I bought this on eBay. I paid about £15 for it. They are normally around 50. On eBay anyway, I don't know about the retail price. And I paid £15 for it because it contains a toner cartridge which will fit into that one, and that's cheaper than you can really buy a toner cartridge. So on the back of this is a 110WE. So the 110WE is supposed to need only a HP account. So on the back of this is this sticker which says USB is definitely not a good idea. However, if you look underneath there is a USB. So I quickly checked it to see if there were any metal contacts on it, and there are metal contacts on it. So I plugged it in, and just as we did with the other printer in the other video, the Windows 10 2015 PC could see this, no problem. And so I tried to print with it, and then I found out why it was cheap. So if you kind of look at this, lifting up the paper, you can kind of see that looks like it's okay, properly supported and everything. But then this one here kind of looks a bit like it's loose and it's a bit wonky. There appears to be a bit of plastic, which you can just see it to my finger there, stuck at a funny angle. So if you examine the front of that one, if you look here, there's a little bar in front of that axle, but in here there's no little bar in front of the axle. So I think there's a bit missing. So I am kind of guessing that this little bit that's stuck down the back of here is probably the bit that's supposed to be on the front of there. I'm not really sure, but something's definitely not right. So I'll take it apart now. And then this one here seems to be really loose. I haven't checked if this machine is in warranty or not yet, because it might be. And I don't know if you need the original owner's receipts for the warranty. I'm not sure how that works really. But if you look down the back of there, there's a slightly off, I don't know if you can see that there, slightly off bit of metal, bit of plastic there, which doesn't look like it's supposed to be there. So I'm going to try and remove this back piece and just see if we can actually get anywhere with it. I don't know if you can lift that up. Oh well, it'll just come off. Might just snap off, I'm not sure. So it seems that we have a number of challenges here. It is quite a complicated mechanism. So you have to take a screw out of here to get the mechanism off that side, and then you have to take a screw out of here to get the mechanism off that side, and then there's a little clip just here that you need to undo in order to get the whole thing to just lift out. You can just see there, look, there's just here, there's a piece of plastic that I don't think is supposed to be there. So I'll find a pair of tweezers there, and a bit more of a hooky sort of piece on the end there. Very tricky. I have to say that is very tricky. Wow, that's a huge bit of plastic. Oh, back and forth, back and forth. There you go. And I'm pushing that out, I think. Whoa! What the? Wow. So that's why it doesn't work, because there's a huge bit of plastic stuck in it. So what I've got to do now is work out where that went. I know where that went. So it definitely printed. Okay, so after a little bit of trialing, we managed to get this off, and it seems that we have this part here. You can just see the spring there on the bottom. This is actually the wrong way around. So this part goes onto here with the spring over the little detent there. So the problem is that as you can see on that one, there's a little bar that's snapped off. We could probably put a small shaped piece of brass in there to fix that. That's probably not a problem. But we've also got this little piece here which was jammed in the paper mechanism, and I cannot see where that would go. I just can't see anywhere that it would sit. I haven't got the faintest idea where that would go at the moment, anyway. So I've just discovered where it goes. So if you look at this piece, there's a slightly longer axle on one side than the other. So you push that in there, and that central locating nub that's on it, that goes into here. Sorry, I looked at this for ages and I couldn't work out where it went, but that goes into here, and it clearly is supposed to snap into place, but I don't really know how you get it in. There you go. So that must go there. Right, so if I can keep this in focus, I'll just show you. You see the roller, there's two rollers there. The one at the front doesn't look too bad, but this is virtually a new printer, and the one at the back is in a terrible state. I think that probably needs replacing. So that part that we put in there, that was pretty difficult to put back in there, so I'm not entirely sure how that could have come out. I mean, even if you bagged the machine in the post or something, it's not just going to come out like that. That must have been like that from the factory, really, because that's the only way you could really get that out. Okay, so we're in this position where we've got this here, which is missing a pillar. So I've got to try and get a spare part, which I'm not too bothered about actually. Or I need to just find a way of repairing it, which might be easier than you might think actually. So that's the next step. So I can't see anything else that was jamming this printer, except that slightly strange looking roller at the back there. And if it really is that that's caused all these problems, then because it does look a bit stretched, then we won't be able to repair this unless we can actually get one of those rollers. Okay, so to replace the missing plastic bar that was on there, or pin you might call it, we've actually epoxied a brass pin in there instead. So here's a closer look. So what I'm going to do is clip off that long bit of brass there, because we don't need the whole thing. So this is a technique called micro epoxy. So we've got to get that spring over the notch there. So yeah, we'll try and get it in. Well, this is actually quite easy to do, but I'm actually trying to manipulate the camera at the same time. So. Almost. Yeah, it's on there. Right, so now I'll push that in. Right, so what we've got then is, and that's the other one. This is a pretty tricky thing to get on. There you go, it's on. Wow. Can you believe that? Right, in order to get that on, I took the button thing off on the left here. So let's just show you. I lifted that because that gives you space to let the thing in, just in case anyone wants to do this. So one of the things I did earlier on was I actually dropped a screw inside inside the side of the printer here, and you don't want to do that if you can help it. So that seems to be on, but I don't know if it's adjusted properly, so we'll just have a little play with it. Doesn't seem to be an adjustment on it, so well, maybe it's right. I don't know, maybe it's not, maybe it is. Right, so to put these back, you need this little piece at the side here, and then you need that piece, and you need that bit there, and then you've got these. So now we've got to try and figure that out, because I can't quite remember how it went. As I understand it, you take this piece here, and it's the sort of larger flange that goes on the outside, and it fits over there like that. On the back of this bit here there's a spur, and the spur goes into a little slot at the back of the plate there, and then that goes over like so, as I understand it. So you can then put your screw in there, I think that's right. So on this side it's slightly more tricky. I think that, see here, there's a little spur on the back that goes into the hole at the back there, and that goes over like that. So obviously this has got to go on first with the wide bit on the outside. So I was able to do that and still let the viewers know what's going on there. So your screw then goes into that bit. This bit here then clips onto there. So back to the other side, and we have an arm here. So that arm is a clip fit onto there, which comes up, and then I don't know if you can see that there actually. Yeah, it's just down here. There's two screws, one on either side, and the back case should clip down in theory. It's not liking it right now. There are various little clips on the back of the plastic which hold it on. So now if we raise this, it works in the normal way, and we should be able to get the screws in. Oh no! That is the worst thing you can do, is drop the screw in the machine. Fortunately it came out the bottom this time. It didn't last time. Right, so here we are, that's our reassembled printer. Seems to still come up okay. There's no sort of grinding noises or anything like that. That goes in like so. I think so. I think that's the way it works. Right. And guess what? There are no screws left over in the parts bucket, which is always a good thing, because it's always slightly worrying when you've got a few left and you don't know where they went. Oh no! We got a screw loose. Oh, God knows where that goes. It goes on the display, so now I can truly say there's no screws left over. So you can just see our little repair there. So here we are. Seems okay at the moment. So note that this is a 110WE, and we're not going to use this on Wi-Fi because HP wants to know your location, and I don't really like that much. And in the back there we have a little cable going into the USB, which isn't supposed to be there. So currently it says paper jam not cleared. Okay, so finally got this to work. So what I did was, there's a video on YouTube, you might guess. You hold this Wi-Fi button down until that flashes, and then you keep on holding it down until that little question mark, exclamation mark flashes, and then the PC does its stuff. The printer does its stuff. Sorry, not the PC. Haha. Sorry, it's that one there. And you see I've got the 110 selected there. And this is by USB. This is not by this is not using Wi-Fi or anything like that. Right. So it's now printed on the face up side, because I didn't realise it printed that way. That seems to be okay. Seems to print just fine. Success, folks. Okay, so firstly, it looks like there was a piece of plastic which must have been loose right from the factory, because it's not the kind of piece of plastic that can just drop off. I mean, you had to do quite a bit of jiggery pokery just to get it back on again. So the only way that could have come off really is if the factory didn't put it on right and it was stuck in, jammed in the paper feed. And no, because the previous owner said they bought it new and they started it up and it made a clunking, cracking noise, and they stopped using it, and then they sold it cheap on eBay, and that is the reason why. So that must be a factory fault. Okay, so that in itself is okay, and if it had been in warranty, we would have been able to get it repaired. That in itself is okay also. However, not good for HP, because essentially if you have one of these that breaks outside of warranty, you can pay HP a lot of money to get it repaired, but you can't buy any parts for it. And that means that a lot of these are going to end up in landfill. All of the energy that was used to make them is wasted, and that, I'm sorry, but that is just a -10 for HP on that score. So I'm not very happy about that. But it looks like the piece of plastic was the reason why it wasn't working. So putting it back onto the PC again, I do have quite an old PC that I use for printing. It's about 2015, and so it has been struggling a little bit with modern printers lately, so that is a little bit of a problem. So HP, no recycling. That's 1 month in the devil's box. So I would implore HP, absolutely, you must provide parts for your stuff so people can fix stuff. I know you don't like it, but you are making thousands of these every month, and you absolutely need these to be recyclable completely. A lot of the plastics in here, they're not marked with recycling marks or anything like that. That's really bad for a modern product, and that is really naughty on the part of HP. They need to sort that out. Okay, so folks, it looks like we've succeeded. That brings us to the end of this little video. Okay, so one last thing before we close off. I haven't tried to print with a stack of paper. So the reason we got the error on the screen was that there's only one sheet of paper in there, and the printer clearly knows that the paper level is low, even though there's still a sheet in there, which is kind of cool. But I am going to use this now for the business for maybe a week and a half or something like that before it comes up for sale, and we'll try it with a stack of postage receipts and just see what happens. And if it works, brilliant.